Okay, very last thing I want to say about home inspections, and the most important thing is, so you're buying a new house and it's inspection time. Well, here is everything you need to know about home inspections. Let's get right into it. Hey, my name is Chris Grano. I am a real estate agent here in the Chicago suburbs, and I'm so glad that you joined me on this video. Let's talk about home inspections. It's probably the scariest part of the process, maybe next to the offer process, maybe a toss-up between those two. But inspections brings out this fear about what's lurking in this house, what's behind the walls, what don't I know? And the reality is that there's a little bit of truth there and a little bit of myth. The truth is that when we're afraid of something, it can often be for a legitimate reason. And so a home inspection is a way of uncovering things that we don't know. And so maybe there's a little bit of fear there because you're excited about the house and you don't want there to be anything wrong with it. That's very likely, especially on the seller's side. Of course, the seller generally doesn't want there to be anything wrong with the house. But there's always this little bit of trepidation about, is this deal going to stay together? Am I going to find things that are going to make me want to walk away? So let's talk about and clear up all the fear and all the myth and all the doubt when it comes to home inspections so that you feel really confident walking in and you know what to look for. So number one, let me just get this right off the bat. I always recommend a home inspection. So in Illinois and Chicagoland area, we get a 5-day attorney review period built into the contract to hold any type of home inspection or other specialized tests or inspections that we want to. We'll talk about some of those in just a second. But we get 5 business days to hold those inspections, review the results, and then go over those results with you, the buyer, your attorney, and make any requests or additional fact-finding questions from the seller's side in an effort to resolve these things and keep the purchase moving forward, or identify things that could potentially make you want to cancel the deal. So let's talk about the home inspection. The home inspection is basically an A to Z, top to bottom search of the home from a licensed home inspector who knows what they're looking for when it comes to a home. So they're going to look at every system of the home, from the furnace, plumbing, the electrical. They're going to look at walls and windows and ceilings. They're going to crawl up in the attic. They're going to go in the basement or in the crawl space. They're going to walk around the outside of the home. They're going to do everything they need to do to see your home visually. Now, they can't bust into walls, they can't crack open pipes, things like that. But it's a visual inspection and as detailed as we can possibly be to help you understand what sort of condition you're buying that home in. So the home inspection typically takes about 2 hours. I've been at some inspections that are closer to 4, but those are few and far between. And but typically it's about that. I mean, if you're buying something smaller like a condo, it could be as short as like an hour, but a good sized single family home is going to be somewhere in that 2-hour range, maybe 2.5 to 3 hours if it's a really large home. So what are they looking for? Well, again, they're going to tell you how old things are. So if you don't know this already, they're going to tell you how old is the furnace. They're going to look at the serial number and be able to tell you that. How old is the air conditioner? How old does the roof look like? They want to let you know, based on general averages of the life of these items, about how much longer can you expect the furnace, for example, to last. Then they're going to look for problems, defects, and issues. They're going to look at the electrical box to see, are the right breakers being used? Is the right gauge wire being used? Now, a lot of this is going to depend on your local area. There's different codes and different expectations in different cities and states and parts of the country and things like that. But they're going to go based on recognized international and state level codes. And so they're going to tell you, was this job done properly? Was this part of the home built properly? Is there an issue here? And that sort of thing. They want to let you know primarily, is something a safety issue? Is something a major cost? Now, there's going to be a long list, a long report that you're going to get at the end of this home inspection that's going to detail every minor and major thing that the home inspector found. And I generally recommend to my buyers that they focus on the things that are major. In other words, like I said, things that could be a safety issue, things that might cost them a lot of money to repair. So every buyer has their kind of hot buttons, but I'm always going to try to focus their eyes on the things that really matter. And then there's always going to be lots of little minor items that can be handled down the line. Now, a quick caveat, when I'm talking about home inspections, I'm talking about an inspection that the buyer pays for their knowledge. Talking about cost, typically it's going to be somewhere about $500, maybe $600, maybe less if it's like a condo, for the home inspection. That's the inspection for the buyer, but some municipalities, some cities might have their own inspection that's required. And here's the difference. On the inspection that the buyer is paying for, this information about the home is really for your knowledge, so that you can see if you can work out some sort of repair or some sort of arrangement with the seller where you can get some items taken care of prior to you moving in. But it's also for your knowledge on things that you might want to tackle down the road. When we're talking about city inspections, oftentimes these are things that the local city is going to require to be fixed before the transaction is closed. So in our area in Chicagoland, there are some municipalities like that do have their own village inspection or city inspection, and they might require these things to be fixed. So that's a little difference, a little distinction there between the two different types of inspections. Okay, talking about the negotiation process for home inspections, again, it is a negotiation process. So we're gonna get this list, we're gonna identify the things that are really important to you, and if we have the ability to negotiate them, we will present them to the seller through the attorneys, and we're going to try to get them to take care of it. Now, sellers may decide to take care of it in a few different ways. They may decide to go ahead and make those fixes for you, and then they give us a receipt to show that it was done, by a licensed professional, and we're going to verify that it was done as well when we do the final walkthrough. They also may say, you know what, we don't really want to fix the issue, but we will give you some money so that when you move in, you can fix it. And that's called a closing cost credit. So we're going to typically try to either get an estimate or maybe ballpark it based on our experience of what that issue may cost you. And to be honest with you, you may not always get a one-to-one. You may not get 100% of that issue covered, depending on what it is and depending on the situation. See, a lot of times in this hot seller's market, we are competing with other buyers, which means we have limited leverage, even in these negotiations, to be able to get repairs made. So there may be times that you're buying the house as is because the seller said, we're selling it as is. Or maybe you offered to buy it as is. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means you still get an inspection, but you're sort of telling the seller, I'm not gonna ask you to make any repairs. So in a situation like that, we may not ask them to make any repairs at all. And as long as you're okay with the house's condition in general, you move forward and go ahead and purchase that home and then make the repairs on your own down the line. Of course, if you found major issues that you didn't want to take on, you can still back out of the contract at that point. Just consult your attorney the best way to do that. What about other inspections? So there are these things that may come up during the home inspection. The home inspector may say, the furnace is acting a little funny. I can tell something's wrong with it, but I'm not a heating and cooling expert. I recommend that you have a technician come out. So this may be a situation where we then hire a heating and cooling technician to come out and do an evaluation of the furnace, or we may ask the seller to do that. Other types of inspections that may come up, there may be a termite inspection or WDO, wood destroying organism inspection. Those are required by VA loans, but some buyers may choose to do them on their own. And then there's a radon test. Radon is a scentless, sightless, invisible meaning gas that comes up from the soil, and the EPA says it's the number 2 cause of lung cancer. So I often recommend that a radon test be done. All these different tests have different costs, and they're always going to be at the buyer's expense. The one difference is in our area in Chicagoland, if you're buying a home that has a private well for water and a septic tank or septic field for sewage, then typically it's customary for the seller to pay for those inspections to be done. Again, that could change in a highly competitive situation where we're trying to win, and maybe we offer as the buyer side to pay for those inspections. So here's the gamut of all those things. And what I can tell you is keep the fear to a minimum, because the good news is on these inspections, it's a lot rarer than you think it is where major issues pop up. Everybody has that fear of, oh man, I'm gonna open up the attic and there's gonna be black mold hanging from the rafters in every inch of the attic. Super rare. Having a little bit of mold, surface mold in the attic is actually somewhat common, but it can be remediated for a lot less money than you think. And things like foundation issues. Everybody has their mind that the house is gonna fall into a sinkhole and there's gonna be these major cracks. That is also incredibly rare. In fact, I've seen it maybe 2 times in my entire career. Most of the time, there's going to be minor hairline cracks in the foundation, which is totally normal, can be sealed up to make sure that no moisture gets through, things like that. So try to remain calm when you enter this inspection phase. Having a great real estate agent and a great real estate attorney and a great real estate inspector on your side to walk you through is key. They'll let you know what's normal, what's not, how long do the negotiations take, what can we expect to hear from the sellers, what do we think we might be able to get fixed, or what might not be fixed for us. All these questions can be answered, and they will walk you through the process to make you feel super calm so you can get through that inspection period, get on with the rest of the transaction, and feel super comfortable about buying that home. Okay, very last thing I want to say about home inspections, and the most important thing is absolutely do not waive the home inspection. This has become more and more popular in recent years when it's a competitive market out there and buyers are doing everything they can to get an edge on the competition. And sometimes they're willing to waive the home inspection. I have only ever agreed to go along with this 2 times in my career, and that's in 2 unique situations. One where the buyer was a general contractor, knew what he was getting into, had been doing this for decades, and was willing to waive the home inspection to be able to get the deal done because he knew exactly what needed to be done to that house. And the only other time was when a pre-inspection had been done from a reputable local home inspection company that I knew, and then we were able to review that report ahead of time. And again, this was a situation where it was several offers and we were able to waive the inspection based on looking at the prior report. So every other time, I would say absolutely do not waive a home inspection. You will set yourself up for a failure and you have no recourse if you find something later on down the road that you didn't catch because you didn't have an inspection. Hey, if you have any questions about home inspections, what to look for, what to be worried about, what not to be worried about, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Just reach out and we'll talk soon.